Guys, the topic of training over the age of 40 seems to be very, very popular. When I put out a social media post asking people what they'd most like to see on this channel, one of the most popular ones was training over 40, over 50. So the fact that I am at the end of my 30s this year, so I'll be 40 in August, is really interesting, because am I going to change the way that I train? Am I going to change the way that I eat? The answer to that is no. And I'm probably going to be a little bit bold in saying this. If you are 50 or 60 and you're wondering how you should train, but you've never done it before, the approach to training you is actually going to be very, very similar to training somebody in their 25 and 30. Because anyone new to anything needs to learn the foundations. All right? The issues that you've got when you get slightly older is things to do with losing muscle tissue. You are probably going to have a less than optimal digestive system. You're probably have gone through a good period of time of not eating a great deal of food. Maybe you're under more considerable stress and strain, whether it's business or life. But something that we've got to look at from a training perspective is, muscle mass preservation is the number one thing. Now, having trained since I was 14, 15 years old, part of my anti-aging process is to just continue doing what I'm doing. I will always train as hard as I possibly can. I won't always try and gain muscle for as long as I can, because other things become a priority in my life. Right now, bodybuilding's my sport. So building muscle, putting muscle in places where it's been lagging before, trying to balance out my physique is my goal. What is the goal for a 40, 50, 60-year-old? Well, to be honest with you, if you go to some places like America, where it's a very hot climate and people are on the beach a lot, there's some 45, 50, 60-year-olds who are in incredible shape, still competing, still going to the beach and looking very, very well. But the reason why most people think that 40, 50, 60, you have to change the way that you do everything is possibly because of your limited belief in what's possible in your 40s and 50s and 60s. From my perspective, nothing's unachievable. But when people hit 50 and they start to get the odd ache and pain, they start to get a little bit more tired, is it any wonder when you realize that people aren't eating what they used to do when they were in their mid-20s? They're not training as regularly as they were in their mid-20s. They are naturally going to have less digestive enzymes, because as you age, certain digestive functions slow down. But why are they slowing down? Is it because you're not providing the digestive system with what it needs to optimally break down food? What about supplementation? What about the regularity of your diet? Just because you're 45, 50 years old doesn't mean that you've got to stop eating 4 to 5 times a day. In fact, research has shown that as you get older, your protein intake needs to increase to ward off things like sarcopenia, muscle wastage. Should you be loading underneath heavy loads in the gym? If you can, why not? If your structure is sound, your back is sound, your hips, your glutes, your muscles are strong, you can ward off anti-aging by continuing to challenge your muscles, train your muscles, train your cardiovascular system, which, to be fair, gets trained when you do gym work, weight training, even walking, treadmill, cross trainer. But this is where people kind of start to get a little bit wayward. They think, oh, I'm aging, my friends are aging, I'm aging, so things need to be completely different. The time when I get to 50 and say, oh my Christ, I'm getting to 50, I need to change, is when I've given in to aging. I've given in to people around me that are saying that I'm getting old and that I need to do this and I need to do that. If you are starting training at 50, All you have to do is improve the quantity of protein, 1 gram per pound of body weight. You have to get training regularly with weights 4 to 5 times a week. 80% of your training should be with weights. You should focus predominantly on postural muscles, erectors for your spine, your thoracic, your glutes, your hips, your hamstrings, a lot of stuff that I've made videos about. You should ensure that you have got good digestive health function. You should ensure that you're getting plenty of oily fish and vegetables and healthy nuts and seeds. You should also be mindful of the amount of food you eat every day, because if your digestion's not as good as it was and your metabolism potentially isn't as good as it was, then all the more need to not have crazy blowouts. You've got to remember this: cell health of your body, anti-aging, is all down to how well your body is healthy-wise. So your cells, if they're healthy, is that from food? Can you age very quickly because you're having too much alcohol, too much sugar when you don't need it? You're stressed a lot more than you used to be able to. Whether or not children are the responsibility of stress, cause stress, whether it's financial stress, whatever it may be, you owe it to your body to continue to look after it. Any old car will age and rust if it's not looked after. But an old car that's looked after could look 20 years younger simply because it's looked after. So I want to leave you on this note. 40, 50 or 60, it's not going to make a difference to me. If you're going to start training, you start training off at the most appropriate place for you. Look after your digestive health. Make sure you reduce stress. Make sure that you eat a very varied, healthy diet, balanced throughout the day, just like anybody else. And you're going to knock 10 years off your life very, very quickly. So everyone that's getting to that latter part of life, you should be doing everything you were doing in your younger life to give yourself that extra lifespan. So don't see it as a number, see it as a continuation of what you were doing already.